Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Vidisha and I'll be your host for the day. Welcome to the finale of Consultathon 2020. We're finally here after an extensive but enjoyable 3 weeks of case solving. We're extremely grateful for the immense support that you showered upon us in every possible way, be it registration, submission, and most importantly, the case solving. We hope that every one of you enjoyed this bootcamp for consulting as much as we did organizing it. I would like to shed some light on the numbers that don't really do justice to the success of the event, but surely do help in quantifying it to a certain extent. We had about 270 registrations, 190 submissions across all over the rounds, and 125 participants that completed all the 3 rounds of the competition. This has been possibly the biggest training program ever conducted by any 180 DC chapter in India. On this note, I would like to introduce to you our judge for the finale of Consultathon 2020, Avidipto Chakrabarti. He's currently working as an investment associate at Baring Private Equity Asia and has previously worked as a senior business analyst at McKinsey Company. Apart from having a stellar academic record at BITS Goa, he also secured a perfect score of 100 percentile in CAT twice in 2016 and 2017 and has deferred admission IIM A and ISB. Avidipto visited our campus back in 2018, and we're honored to have you back here with us today. If now you don't mind. Yes, thank you so much. We'd now like to begin our fireside chat. So the first question that we got was, could you talk a little bit about your journey from being a bit student to scoring 100 percentile in CAT twice and then becoming a private equity professional?
The journey as such has not been super long yet. I'm a 2017 graduate from BITS Goa with economics and computer science. Before, my PS2 was at Nomura for 1 year. So I had both semesters at Nomura. I had a PPO from Nomura. I had when I was leaving BITS, I had an offer from IIM Bangalore, and I had McKinsey as my another job option that I got from the placement itself. And that was a tough decision. But decision between IIM Bangalore and McKinsey. Nomura was good, but I did not want to continue there given the other 2 options. After a lot of conversations, I ended up choosing McKinsey because it was a day 0 job out of the IIMs as well. And the idea of consulting was super exciting from what I could understand from my seniors. Still, I did not know a lot about consulting before joining McKinsey because the culture was not there at BITS at that point. So no one spoke to us about consulting. We didn't have such case competitions. But from what I understood from the people who worked there, it seemed like a really cool job. And I took it up. It was a super exciting 2.5 years with McKinsey. And very recently, 4 months ago, I switched to Baring as a private equity associate.
That sounds very, very interesting. So one of the other very, very asked questions that we got was, how did you manage scoring so well in Excel, pairing CAT, PORs, and all of these things simultaneously? Because this seems like a very, very difficult task.
So, right from, I would say, yeah. So in college, I always ensured that, or I always tried to do more than one thing at a time. So DOSM was like as much a part of my college life as ACADS. I devoted more, if not equal, time to DOSM as I did to ACADS during the first 3 years of college. Once that got done in 3rd year, even 4th year, me and some friends, I'm sure none of you guys would have heard of it, but we had started something called Zinger back in campus, which was a food delivery startup. So we kept ourselves busy with academics always. And I would attribute a big chunk of being able to do that to time management and organization, which to this day, like even in the job I do, is super, super critical. Knowing beforehand that if exams are starting on March 15th, March 5th onwards, I can't do extracurricular. So till March, because like no one studies for like the full time. Like the last 10 days are super important, and then at that time I would kind of compartmentalize and move away from extracurriculars to acads, and then get back once exams are over. So like just prioritizing and knowing where what to pay attention to when, I think was key, and always also the will to want to do both well was also key.
I'm just in my first year, but Dawson has been a big part of my life as well, so I relate to that.
Good to hear. Okay, great.
So again, one question that has been bugging me is, for most people, when you get a perfect 100 in your first once in CAT, that's really enough, and then you just do other things. But what is the mindset behind taking CAT all over again?
So that is something I need to prepare a good answer for, because there honestly isn't a good explanation for that particular I would say event in life. Because first time I prepared a lot for CAT, right, and it was quite a journey in itself. The 6 months I prepared for CAT the first time. Second time, like, to be honest, I didn't even register for the exam. A friend of mine registered me for the exam. I don't know why, but and I was working with McKinsey. The hours were pretty steep, so I did not. The preparation that I put in for the first time was what I carried with me for second time, with no intention of getting into any college. So there's no good answer to why I gave CAT the second time. I honestly, although it sounds lame, I enjoyed the exam in it, like the just first time itself, and I just gave it the second time, and I happened to do well because it's an exam where you do not need to. It's about practice. So I second time only prep I did was there were 2 free mocks available. I gave those free mocks before the exam, and I went for the second exam. Not in it was very quite inconsequential, I'll say, to everything else I've done.
Okay, so it was basically a prank gone right.
You can call it that.
Okay, can you tell us a little bit more about how to get McKinsey through placements and like any other tier 1 consulting job straight out of college?
Right. So, like to understand, like for example, at least for MBB, for McKinsey, BCG, and Bain, they have specific campuses in mind when they do the hiring, and supply is obviously much more for them than the demand from them. So they have quite a high bar when it comes to resume shortlisting. And again, I had no idea about what really helped me. I had not prepared for consulting as such, but 2 people had come to campus to give a talk when I was in my 4th year, I think, or 3rd year. Akshay, Goenka, and Twisha, both are in consulting right now. And they really spoke to us about consulting, and that's when I heard about the firm for the first time. And Akshay really helped me prepare. So what I would recommend people to do now that at least McKinsey is coming every year to BITS Goa is look at the resumes of folks from these schools. Look at resumes from the top IITs and how they're structured, because I think BITS Goa needs to go a long way in the way they make resumes today. Like even though they have achievements, but they do not communicate them well. So learning that is important in the job market, nothing else. Also, looking at, so I was heavily bent on non-technical roles right from the beginning of my college. I did not do any technical internship or job. So being aware of what the technical opportunities are is also super critical. And now that you have a forum like 180 Degree and Consulting Club, I think I saw a Consulting Club post of BITS Goa. Use that to familiarize yourself with case prep, etc. But over-index on resume building, because you will not reach the case prep stage until you have a resume that's worth shortlisting. And talk to people from these firms. There are a lot of BITSians working now in these companies who would be more than willing to look at your resume, give you one-on-one feedback on your resume. That will be invaluable.
Okay, so basically presentation is as important as doing something.
Of course, yeah.
You have had like a stellar record in academics, but obviously not all of us are as as great at that part. So what would your advice be to the people who do not have that great a CG but do want to get into MPP?
Yeah. So beyond like a certain degree of CG, I'd say would be required for these companies because think of it from their point of view, right? Like there is no specific skill set. They're not hiring engineers to do like machine learning stuff with like for the company, right? So it's not no hard skill that they are testing. So for them, they want people who have demonstrated independent ability to work independently, ownership, entrepreneurial skills in the past. And for undergrads who are not like post MBA, pre MBA undergrads who have zero work experience, for them to quantify some of these skills and abilities becomes challenging. So what does a CGPA signify to someone like so to a recruiter? It signifies say discipline. It signifies ability to work hard. It signifies uh, uh, if there is nothing else on the resume, it signifies a basic level of aptitude. So you can think of what else you can do to address these requirements that the recruiter has. So a good GMAT score can probably address the aptitude bucket. Uh, some uh, really excelling in so for example a campus president some years ago had a six, I think Sarthak, I don't know if you guys know, he had a 6.xx GPA, but he was the campus president, so that showed entrepreneurial nature and like leadership abilities, so he was shortlisted by McKinsey even with a 6.xx GPA. And so when McKinsey hires, it looks at four things. It looks at acads, it looks at co-curricular, extracurricular stuff, it looks at PORs, leadership basically, and it looks at work experience, internships or work experience. So there are four buckets, and you need to really kick it out of the park in at least two out of these four buckets. So as long as that is there, and your GPA is not like a four, I think McKinsey will not be shortlisting a four just because of their constraint on not being able to like talk to someone and then decide, right? It's just looking at a paper and deciding. Unfortunately, with that system, people will get removed in the resume shortlisting process. But yeah, of these four categories, if there are two categories which you can pick up and really excel, then I think there's no reason you will not be shortlisted.
I'm sure you gave a lot of us hope out here. Thank you for that. So how was your experience with McKinsey as a consultant, and what all were your like other career options that you could have explored getting out of McKinsey?
So experience with McKinsey was great. So I was with McKinsey for 2.5 years. First 2 years, actually first 1.5 years, I'd say I was in Mumbai mostly. And then last year I transferred to their New York office. So with McKinsey, so the kind of work is you work with really senior people in the companies, and you work on, and that like two kinds of projects you typically do, right? Either you do a strategy project, which is very similar to what the teams here did with Carlsberg, for example. So such companies can recruit you to build a strategy out. The difference is, if you just to give you a glimpse of what the work would really turn out to be. So work would be to build an answer like this for Carlsberg. You would talk to a lot of industry experts. Like you would speak to say X CXOs from Heineken, AB InBev. You'll speak to X CXOs from Coca-Cola, from Pepsi, to form an opinion. So you'll work with truly industry thought leaders, and you'll be able to leverage McKinsey's work in the past with similar companies on similar topics. And McKinsey does such projects throughout the year, all over the globe. So you bring what's happening around the world, say what's happening in America today in the beverage industry, to bring that insight to Western Europe through these leaders. You bring, and these conversations with, say, these industry leaders in itself, I think is quite enriching, and you learn a lot. And then you go out with these 5-6 initiatives which are really backed and thumped on the table by the industry leaders, and you assign a number to each, what is the growth that each will achieve and how. So you get a quite detailed analysis. So that would be one kind of project you'll be working on as a consultant. And second would be more operational, right? Cost reduction, operational process improvements. So those are the second bucket of projects that you would be working on. And yeah, it involves a lot of traveling. So in my 2.5 years, I think covered 22 countries through McKinsey. And yeah, it's quite stressful, but if you enjoy that kind of a lifestyle, it's quite a crazy lifestyle that one cannot imagine while in college. But yeah, there are some downsides as well. Certain times you do not see your initiatives getting implemented, which is important to some people. You will not work with Carlsberg to implement your ideas. You will leave at that point in most cases. But yeah, both are important skills. Coming up with those ideas is as important a skill as operationally implementing them. So that was McKinsey. And out of McKinsey, you have all sorts of options. That's another great thing. If you are unsure of what you want to do after campus and somehow end up getting a generalist role, either in consulting or in finance or in investing, if you got a generalist role, it keeps a lot of options open, because what you've really built in the first 2 years of your career is a skill set to solve problems, work a lot of hours, and be organized and be able to prioritize work streams. These are skills that can be applied to any job, right? So investment, VC options, private equity options, working for startups, working in the corporate strategy teams of these companies, of Star, Carlsberg, etc. So these will be some of the exit opportunities that open up post consulting.
That sounds great. Could you tell us a little bit more about where you are right now, what your day looks like at a private equity firm, and your advice to current students?
Sorry, I couldn't get the last question.
Could you tell us a little bit about what your day looks like at a private equity firm, and what would your advice be to current students who want to get into a private equity firm?
Right. So private equity, I would say, is also a lot of. So the difference between private equity and consulting is consulting is more about breadth. So you look at 10 industries. You not really become expert. So after my study with Carlsberg, I'll not be an expert in the beverage industry. But as a private equity analyst or private equity associate, when I'm looking at Carlsberg for an investment opportunity, the level of detail is much higher. So the kind of work I will do is completely understand the operations of Carlsberg. How is money being made? Where is money being spent? And what can be changed to increase EBITDA, to increase profit? So that is the lens I will take as an investment associate always. And after my 2 months of study with Carlsberg, I will know everything about beverage industry in Western Europe. And because you are putting the company's own money into the asset, the kind of the detail and the depth of analysis you will do is much more. But you will not get into operations. Like, you will never look at how to improve business processes, etc. That you will do. So you will not learn, say, marketing as a function. In consulting, I would do marketing as a function. I would learn how to do marketing. But in investment, I want to see if I'm investing in this company, what does the revenue look like? What does the cost look like? And how can I maximize the EBITDA to make most of the return? And should I invest in this or not? So I learn about the industry, risks, etc., and decide if I want to invest. So as a private equity associate, you'll have two primary work. One is, if there's an active deal going on, you will be like diligencing on that company to understand if there are any risks or should we invest or not. And you will be, for the companies you've already invested in, the portfolio companies, you will help them meet the goals that you guys had when you invested. So say I'm investing in a startup or a company X, hoping it will grow 5x in the next 5 years. So there are these 20 initiatives we know that we need to implement to grow 5x. So you need to work with the company continuously, even after investing, to ensure those objectives are met. And so you are part of board meetings, you are part of leadership discussions to see if the tasks are being met, if the objectives are being met, and we're on track to achieve the 5x growth before we exit. So that would be the role of an associate. And in terms of how to get into, so private equity firms typically hire through headhunters. Headhunters are companies which basically it's outsourcing recruitment. So they handle the recruitment of such companies. And three ways rather of getting into private equity in India would be consulting, either being in MBB or AT Kearney, Parthenon, these are the firms they would have a stepping stone to get into private equity or being in front-end investment banking. So private equity does not typically hire out of undergrad directly. Out of I think one college, I think IIT Bombay gets a Blackstone replacement directly, but typically it's through either investment banking or consulting, or the third option is doing an MBA. So these companies do hire fresh MBA grads as well.
Thank you for giving us some really great insights and sharing your experiences. We're certain that it will help a lot of careers out here. Now we'd like to move on to the presentations of the teams who made it to the finale. So the first one would be Ubiquitous Consulting, and I'd like to invite the team members to take over now.
Hello, Samarth, are you there?
Yeah, hello. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are. Please present the slides.
Yeah. Is my screen visible?
Yeah, it is now, yeah.
Okay.
So, hello, good afternoon to everybody present here. Myself, Yashraj from Ubiquitous Consulting Group, and today I, along with my teammate Samarth, are here to deliver a strategy which will help Carlsberg to secure a revenue growth of at least 5% by 2022. Now onwards, Samarth will continue with the Carlsberg's vision.
Carlsberg believes in the sustainable vision, bringing everything towards zero. That set their ambition to raise the sustainability standards in the industry. So they launched a program which aims to eliminate carbon emissions at brewery, cut down the water usage in the brewing process, promoting alcohol-free brews to reduce accidents culture, hence promoting zero irresponsible drinking. It is observed that growth in the beer industry in Europe is becoming stagnant due to slow economic growth and the consumer shift towards alcohol-free brews due to increasing health awareness. So our goal is to provide Carlsberg with a strategy to achieve at least 5% revenue growth by the end of financial year 2022. We'll achieve this by building a circular economy supplemented by digital transformation, primarily focusing on increasing sales volume through on-trade channels. Now, heading forward towards attaining the circular economy, few initiatives already taken by Carlsberg are introduction of 100% biodegradable bottles made out of fiber. They have also introduced a smart way of packaging called Snappack, which uses an innovative glue technology, thus reducing the use of plastic in packaging. Carlsberg also follows 8 out of 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which is an added advantage for the strategy. Considering the current situation in Eastern Europe, having a revenue share of only 24%, which is responsible for a lower operating profit of 22% as compared to 50% in the Western Europe. And looking at the huge success of alcohol-free brew in Western Europe, which has showed 33% growth in the past 2 years, it will be a perfect time to launch our alcohol-free brew in Eastern European markets, gaining early mover advantage, which in turn will help to increase market share. Hence, this will create a new revenue stream for the Eastern Europe region. We will use three-step cup model to ace this situation, which is converting customers towards our brand, upselling our products, and finally premiumizing them. Now heading towards the strategy for circular economy model. This model is highly dependent on the way we produce our products and the way in which they get to our hands and back to us for recycling. It is not just a cycle, but a process where we want to establish a circular economy model, joining hands with 8 other companies who follow the same vision as us. These are the 8 companies that we need to partner with. Due to time constraints, we won't get into the details of it. Now my teammate Yashraj will continue with digital transformation strategy.
Yeah, so in this strategy, due to rapid growth of field of technology in last decades, it is very essential for the company to adopt agile methods and the methods of digital transformation to stay in the game. So, as we all know, customer is the king. We will be leveraging this technology to get excellent customer insights in order to make the business decision better. The digital shift also aligns with Carlsberg's SAIL 2022 strategy, which aims to improve connectivity between company with its customers and supply chain with employees. So, by integrating latest technologies like Microsoft Teams or Slack for empowering employees to develop agile, flexible work environment, use of Microsoft Dynamics CRM, Power BI, and cloud services like Microsoft Azure to target customer for better engagement, generating valuable insights from the data collected from them, and to optimize it to optimize our company's operation. For example, centralized data on cloud will help in real-time inventory management. Data collected from smart kegs can help us to predict which beer will be in demand at certain times of the day or during the year, ensuring that right products are available at right time. Lastly, we can leverage power of AI to optimize beer flavors. During our research, we found that Carlsberg lacks a mobile app. In digital transformation strategy, mobile app plays a vital role to collect customer insights and predict customer habits and help them to engage with the brand better. So we have designed a mobile app with several features like which will increase customer engagement. So the features include coupon system, monthly bonuses, discounts, weekly contests for free beer, and annual contest to get chance to drink with the CEO. Uh, Adding to it, social features like adding drinking buddies, real-time location tracking, which allows to track drinking buddies' location and direct check-in with them. This app will contain huge region-wise catalog. This will increase customers' interest in our customer interest, and they may try to shift towards our premium products. This app will fulfill customers' vision of zero irresponsible drinking by keeping a track on how much customer drink in a month. So, due to all this feature, this app act as a bridge between Carlsberg and customer, thus help in making Carlsberg community even more stronger. Now, we will talk about the impact the digital transformation strategy will bring out. So, according to the current scenario, 64% of the revenue is generated by on-trade sales, which is only 34% of the total sales volume. But implementing the strategy discussed, we can see a spike of about 4 to 10% in the revenue. If provided, we are able to convert 10% of the off-trade customers into on-trade customers. The impact due to our circular economy model, where we will minimize negative environmental impacts by using innovative measures to maximize life cycle of all the resources used, hence focusing not only to reduce waste but seeking to create value out of waste too. From them, a few of them are meeting plants energy need from renewable sources,
Hello, Yashraj, your audio isn't audible, and also your 7 minutes are up. I'm sorry to interrupt, but yeah, we like to keep it to the time frame that was allotted. So, if Avidipto, you have any questions that you want to ask them regarding the presentation, feel free. Excuse me, Avidipto, you're on mute.
Right. Sorry for that. Yeah. So thanks, Yashraj and Samarth for presenting. I think the problem statement was to grow revenue by 5% in Western Europe. So my question is really twofold. One is 50% of your presentation was about zero waste and sustainable manufacturing and production. So how does that translate to higher revenues? One question. What are your thoughts? Why would that lead to higher revenue? And second question is around your approach to convert off trade to on trade rather than increase the user base altogether. Is that a right? Is that like basically you're saying people who are buying in supermarkets will convert them to go to a bar and drink? Is that the right approach to what like your thoughts on, is that the right approach to grow revenue?
Hello.
Yeah, yes, we can hear you.
I got disconnected. Sorry for that. We will like to conclude, right? How much please present the concluding slide, like synthesis one.
Okay,
Yes,
sure.
really, it's connected.
So on the concluding note, we found that if this strategy is implemented, it will not only help Carlsberg to increase its revenue growth by 8.8% in 2022, but will also help Carlsberg to achieve their vision. This strategy will also revamp the customer experience of Carlsberg and giving them a momentum to capture more market share in the future. Thank you for listening to us. Now we are open for Q&A. Thank you.
I'll repeat myself. Hey, Raj and Samar, thanks for that. I think you were disconnected. I had a couple of questions. One is, how does the sustainability initiatives directly convert to a growth in revenue? Would love to hear your thoughts on, because that's literally 50% of the idea, right? And the remaining 50% is converting off-trade customers to on-trade. Do you really think conversion is the way to go about it rather than expanding market? Do you really want people who are buying in the supermarkets today to go to the bars and not more people coming into the bars? So I would like to get your thoughts on both of these topics.
So actually, the case was all about improving the revenue growth in Eastern European markets. So we are pretty much expanded in those markets. So, but we are not getting more revenue out of it. As we mentioned in slide this one, we mentioned in that thing revenue volumes were 24% as in Eastern Europe as compared to Western Europe, which was like 50%. So this was due to less customers coming to on-trade channels. So like we thought of the strategy to convert those customers in order to gain revenue.
So I'd like to add to Yash Raj. The thing here was we had our factories in Eastern Europe, but we didn't got the revenue out of those regions. Primarily, the reason was the crowd in Eastern Europe is not as westernized as the part living in the Western Europe. So in an attempt to increase our revenue as well as considering the health awareness situation in the country, we thought of promoting our alcohol-free brew in the, Eastern Europe so as to increase our revenue and also in line with the health awareness scenario.
Okay, thanks. I think we are out of time, but thank you both Samarth and Yashraj.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next team we have presenting would be Synergetics. Synergetics, would you please take over now? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, is it visible?
Yes, it's visible now.
Thank you. So I'll just start. Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Shlok from Synergetics, and I'll be presenting the first part of our Carlsberg business plan. So just to give a brief intro, so basically Carlsberg is the third largest international brewer in the world. And in 2016, there was a decline in profitability and revenue of Carlsberg. So it was the outset for the SAIL 2022 plan, which basically is a plan two parts about funding the journey and the actual growth. Our main goal is to increase 5% revenue growth in Europe. And to do this, we need to increase consumption of Carlsberg products sources and to bring about a digitalization through a Carlsberg app. In the current scenario, Carlsberg's beer volume in Western Europe has come to a standstill. And unlike the beer market, the craft and specialty segment and the alcohol-free segment have seen a major volume increase of 15 and 29% respectively. Also, another important point is that majority of Carlsberg's revenues come from the Nordic areas. That's Denmark, Sweden, Norway, and Finland. We've performed a Porter's 5 forces and SWOT analysis and come to the conclusion that the major threat for Carlsberg as of now is substitutes and beer alternatives. And the major opportunity is to enhance and improve the on-trade experience for consuming beer. The consumer is as it is that consumers are willing to pay even more money for getting a better premiumized on-trade experience. And hence also an increase in demand for the craft and specialty beer. And also with the increase in awareness about health and wellness in the world, there has been a high demand for healthier alternatives and AFBs. So this is like one of the first solutions that we've come out with regards with product development. Basically, Carlsberg should focus on the AFB and craft and specialty segments and try and introduce more products in here. Also, they should introduce new products with regards to health, like low-calorie beers. And another important point is Carlsberg has a proprietary keg system called Draught Master, which they should try and expand over Western Europe as it's just started out. So basically, this will not only help in the premiumization efforts of Carlsberg, but it also helps as it indirectly helps in the increase of sales of craft and specialty beers. And finally, after analysis, we found out that there's been an increase in number of people going to coffee places. And so we see this as an opportunity for Carlsberg to collaborate with a coffee house. We've chosen Starbucks as of now. In Europe, Costa Coffee is the major leader in coffee house chains across Europe. So this also gives a great opportunity for Starbucks to collaborate with us and basically increase the customer base of both the companies. And we propose this by Starbucks introducing alcohol-based coffees in their coffee houses, which basically contain our popular and mainstream Carlsberg beers. Now I would like Josh to take over the second part of the presentation.
Good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm Josh, and I'll be continuing from here. So the second solution which we came up with is the Carlsberg mobile app. So the Carlsberg mobile app will be a revolutionary idea for the digital and social transformation of the beverage industry. The main idea to make the app was to create a community for better connectivity with the customers, and an additional advantage of the app was a platform for data collection and understanding the customers better via feedback. Moving on, I would like to highlight the main features of the app. So there are many incentives for downloading this app. That is getting updates for upcoming events, parties, and fests, delivery of specialty products like crafted beer at their doorstep, and getting discount tokens by posting selfies with the Carlsberg drinks and playing drinking games which are inbuilt in the app. The app also provides us with the Carlsberg drinks menu and also introduces the Carlsberg wallet for online payments. So going to the next slide, here is an overview as to how we will implement the plan. It mainly focuses on initially selling the products in the Nordics region, where Carlsberg has the highest majority share, and then expanding to the entire Europe. So going on, in this slide, on the left we can see the column chart. that shows the expected revenue growth after each year of implementing the plan. So here we have estimated that the sales would increase gradually from 2019 to 2021 as we'll be implementing the plan gradually, and then the sales would shoot up in the year 2022. On the right, we can see the pie chart distribution of an incremental revenue. So after performing consumer trend analysis, we estimated that the maximum sales would come from the alcohol-based coffee and new products. Yeah, so going on, implementing and executing the plan is the toughest part of a business as it contains a lot of risks. So some of the risks that we would like to tell you is there are many data privacy issues, consumer willingness issues, operating issues with bar owners regarding the draught master product, and also overcommitting to the proposed strategies. Although considering all these risks, we estimate the sales to increase by 5% over the 3-year period. So I would like to conclude by saying that the business plan that we've made is in accordance with the SAIL 2022 initiative, the Sustainable Innovation at the Carlsberg Group, and the Together Towards Zero program. Yeah, thank you.
Hey, thanks, Josh and Shlok. Two questions again. One is around the partnership you guys have focused on, Starbucks and Carlsberg. Have you guys thought about how the partnership would work out in terms of where will it be a product sold at the coffee shops of Starbucks? If yes, how would the revenue
at the coffee shop?
Do you see people going to Starbucks to drink beer? And if yes, how would revenue be shared by the two companies? And is currently all the revenue assumed as an impact in your analysis? Because if you are selling it at Starbucks, I would assume a majority of the business would go to Starbucks. But yeah, have you thought about that?
Yeah, like we, as of now, like we don't have the exact numbers, but we thought about that. It'll basically be, we'll be taking a percentage of the sales. Like if they're selling our products which contain the alcohol, or whatever sales, or we'll be selling them the beer at the cost price, at minimal cost, and they'll be selling it at a high margin, and we'll be taking a percentage of the sales. So that's how we'll be getting the revenue.
Yeah, but do you foresee a challenge where people are moving away from unhealthy things, that they'll go to a coffee shop to drink beer?
I think like with it just brought a new. It's not it's like instead of drinking an entire bottle, you're having it with coffee. So like in that way, it's going to help people to reduce alcohol, but it's also like there'll be it's a larger customer base, and it's like a new product and new flavor, so people can try it.
Sounds good. Super interesting. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Synergetics. We next have Tres Commas with their presentation.
Am I audible?
Yeah, you are.
Okay. So we are Aryan, Dhruv, Kedia, Dhruv, Faria, and Utkarsh, and we represent Tres Commerce, and we are from Pilani campus. So we are Tres Commerce, and we were assigned the task of developing a business strategy for Carlsberg to secure revenue growth. So in recent years, we have seen that there has been a stagnation in growth because of the market being highly sensitive to consumer behavior, because of factors like increased health awareness, demand for better brews, and an even better experience, and the stiff competition from other brands as well, like AFV, RTD products, and other alcoholic beverages, has raised a high alert, and there is a need to figure out ways to tackle the situation in hand. So some of the ways that we suggest includes aggressive marketing of the product and the company, enhanced partnerships with on-trade channels, and strategizing implementation of the company's digital solutions. With a complete analysis on these strategies, along with the assessment of the revenue model and pertaining risk, there is a high scope of drastic improvement in the company's growth, given those explained strategies are implemented successfully. So to know the problem correctly, we kind of divided it into 4 categories. which includes increasing health concerns, customer experience, brand awareness, and underutilization of digital solutions. So we have given detailed insights on all of these with suggestions for improvement. Coming to digitization, digitization has been a major focus of Carlsberg and gives the company a competitive edge. Digital solutions like Master and Crafted By give us a major advantage over other players. How and how can we leverage these technologies? Basically, marketing the kegs as a standalone product, as it is of high profit margin mentioned by Carlsberg, and also leveraging its monitoring system. The keg has an inbuilt monitoring system which we can use to gather data like time and volume of consumption, which can be a huge advantage for the company. And also for Crafted By, development of an app for distribution of personalized beer can help in increasing off-trade sales. Now, using machine learning to improve demand forecasting accuracy and enhance predictive features is expected to free up time for our demand planners and enabling them to focus on value-adding business planning activities. And basically integrating the keg monitoring system, distribution of software, and technological tools to create a whole management system will help in increasing productivity and efficiency. Now, locality is an important aspect when it comes to beer industry, as there is a personalized feel attached to the product. Now, breweries have proved to increase revenue due to difference in regional culture, taste, and brewing practices. So, to empower local breweries in terms of marketing and promoting their beer, we should start supporting them and providing them with resources. For example, we can help them scale even more, and we can also help them with local social media marketing to set up their social media pages, send them tips regarding marketing, and keeping a check on their packaging and branding. Now, the overall marketing strategy revolves around the ideas which will help us retarget the audience and set up a better brand position among the new demographic. So, we suggest that Carlsberg should direct the marketing campaigns around some of these ideas, which include focusing advertisements around female and families, as the previous trend shows most campaigns position beer as a male-dominated market. It will help the company add another retargeted audience to the demographic, and it will also help us gain a lot of PR, as we will be breaking very prominent social stigma of women consuming alcohol. Now, customer experience is also a very important part, because customer experience is directly related to customer retention and also customer acquisition. So all of this, we also propose to introduce a membership scheme. So basically, the customers that come regularly for on-trade, basically come to bars to drink, we can give them a personalized feel and a sense of representation by giving them free beers and making them part of a loyalty program. So things like this, these can help us improve our company's marketing as well as brand value, and the digital solutions will also help us improve the revenue. Coming to the revenue, now for the revenue and the growth estimation and the risk and the mitigation strategies, I'm going to give this over to Dhruv Kedia.
Yeah, I hope I'm audible.
Hello? Yep, you're audible.
Yeah, thanks, Arjun. So to set our goals and predict the revenue and valuation for the next 3 years, we divided the valuation into 2 buckets. Number 1, to measure the organic growth, and number 2, to estimate the inorganic growth that we hope to achieve in the following years. So the organic growth, for organic growth, we have used the discount cash flow method to predict the terminal valuation of the company, so as to give us a better picture of the untapped market potential. And under inorganic growth, we have again taken 2 basic topics, merger and acquisition, which turns out to be a huge driving force in this beer industry, and number 2, the main business strategies as explained by you to Aryan, and the aggressive marketing strategies explained before. So for organic valuation, we've taken the numbers from the term sheets of Carlsberg, as well as use Damodaran valuation reports to gain a better picture of the discount rates and the general trends followed in the beer industry, as well as the demographic that we are targeting, which gives us a terminal valuation of approximately 34 billion, which basically gives us the idea of how much potential does this industry have to grow, with minimum intervention taking into consideration the general increase in the spending capacity of people. Now, for inorganic cash flow, for inorganic growth, we basically have the merger and acquisition, which basically shows us the. Anand, could you change the slide? I just present. Sorry. Okay. So for inorganic growth, we have merger and acquisition, which we which we assume to have a 10% compounded yearly acquisition of new breweries, as we believe that the number of breweries under have a direct correlation with the incoming revenue. So we aim to have 56 new breweries until the end of 3 years, as we currently have 142, which will increase revenue, as shown below. Among the aggressive operations and marketing, the three main strategies that were explained before, which are the digitalized keg system, the customized craft beer, and the online partnerships with retailers. So the individual percentages have been taken from previous experiments done by similar companies, as well as brand reports of increasing tendency towards customization. Under the marketing, we have assumed to have a 10% share of revenue devoted to marketing with a 160% return on investment, again taken from similar reports. Moving on to the environmental part. So Carlsberg believes in a motto of Together Towards Zero. And for that, we focus mainly on 4 points: zero carbon footprint, zero water wastage, zero irresponsible drinking, and accident related to drinking. So all of these have a common purpose to serve, which is to have a better PR. Now, a better PR generally in today's world means a better customer base, because in a competitive market like a beer industry, people are relating more and more towards the industry who have shown they value towards their customer, they understand the customer needs, and moreover, they understand the environmental impact that they are leaving. So
I'm sorry, Dhruv, your 7 minutes are up. Like, if Avidipto wishes to see more of the presentation, then stand by us.
Could we summarize in 30 seconds? These are the last 2 slides.
Yeah,
so,
go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So we basically want to target to have a better profit while leaving a better PR through investing in R&D and coming up with more sustainable packaging materials. Now, to have a better view of market risk and competitive assessment, to highlight the 3 points, we have high threat of substitutes, high industry rivalry, and high bargaining power of buyers because of the wide array of products available in the market. To counter these problems, to tackle the high bargaining power of buyer, we suggest to have more and more products available in the market and cater to the healthier side of the customer base. To tackle threat of substitutes, we again promote a customer loyalty program to retain the customers, as well as move on to healthier styles and explore new drinks. And to tackle market rivalry, as explained before, acquiring fast local breweries is the method that we suggest as the correlation between number of breweries and the profits. Now, to sum it up, we would just like to say that the Carlsberg needs to take full potential of the digital revolution that is going to stay in the wave and to emerge as a leader in the future. Thank you for your time, and the floor is open to questions.
Yeah, thank you, Dhruv and Aryan. I was unclear on one thing. Just to clarify, I don't remember the slide exactly, but there's a slide on enabling and
let me just present again.
Yeah, there's a slide on local breweries and how Carlsberg can help them market better, etc. Wanted to understand how does that help us increase our top line, increase Carlsberg's top line? Correct.
So basically, should I answer, bro?
Yeah, sure.
Does anyone else want to answer?
Go.
Okay. So we came to know that localized beer is very favored amongst the people in Western Europe. So breweries, the importance of breweries comes because like with the companies that we've signed up with. So one of the points that I missed during the presentation which was one of the most important points, were incentive program for high selling breweries. So what we planned was that if we create like a competitive environment within breweries, by saying that we'll give incentives if you sell more, if you sell above a threshold. So we can provide them with coupon, paid vacations, bonuses, subsidized rates and loans, and we can also give them a bragging right of best-selling breweries. So providing such a competitive environment will help us increase sales and efficiency. So that's one way why we're focusing on breweries, because they are the root of our production.
And over here, we moreover have a partnership kind of deal rather than they just independently selling. So it's a partnership deal under this.
Okay, got it. And in terms of digital, the 2 ideas, if I understood correctly, is they have some product called Draftmaster, like promoting that, and then there was this delivery. Okay, right, machine learning and CRM. Got it, clear. Thank you.
Okay.
That's it from my side.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Next up, we have Delta with their presentation. Delta, would you like to take over? Thank you.
Yeah, I hope I'm audible.
Yeah.
All right. First of all, I'd like to thank 180 DC for this opportunity. Avidipto sir, I'm really excited to present to you. I won't take any more time. I'll just present my screen now. Is the screen visible?
Yep.
Yeah, hello. I'm Advait, and I'll begin the presenting. Aditya. So now first let me introduce the scene. Let me set the scene. So the European beer markets have been stagnating. People have been preferring exotic beers, the craft beers, uh, the custom-made beers. Those have been on an uprise. People have been gravitating towards healthy choices in beers, low cholesterol, non-alcoholics. Uh, there is also a marked increase in the on-trade revenue generated. Uh, we now what we need to do is find ways to boost the Carlsberg revenues, keeping in mind that the beer market in Western Europe, in Europe, is a very mature industry. There are huge competitors right down to very local levels. So now moving on to our strategies that we propose uh, in order to boost these revenues. We have a three-pronged approach. We have focused on three key areas in order to boost the revenues. First is the digital solutions. The second are marketing campaigns, innovative strategies to market the product. And the third is a diversification of product of the product portfolio, basically so that we can cater to different markets, different untapped potential markets. Next slide, please. So coming to the digital platforms, the digital solutions. First we consider a mobile application. Basically, any form of digitalization is a win-win situation for both the company as well as the consumer. The company gets good quality data on which they can base further product development, research, etc. Consumers gain a refined and a personalized experience. Now, when we consider beer, drinking is a social activity. So to boost the experience, we focus the app on social factors. Social features such as gamification, allowing people to connect with other drinkers and so on, AR and VR filters for a social media presence, etc., are included in the application. We also include loyalty programs, meaning that if a consumer buys Carlsberg products, he gains something, he gains tokens, or he gets some reward points that can be cashed in later. We also focus on trade sales because they have proven to be the largest source of revenue. We include bar maps of bars that serve Carlsberg products. For these, bars will have to tie up with Carlsberg, and again, a win-win situation for both customers, Carlsberg, as well as the bar owners. Now, next slide, yes. So we also introduce a new platform, Keg Master. This platform is for the smooth functioning of the on-trade sales. Basically, since the largest number of customers are on trade, we need to ensure that their experience is smooth and personalized. Bar menus can be uploaded on this platform in order for easy handling by the customers. Ordering and payments can also be done on this platform. We also have certain other features of the digital platforms, such as ordering of kegs for corporates, direct delivery for a certain margin. We also have customizable beer, which caters to the customer demand of craft and specialty beers. The customers can customize their own beer on the platform and order it from the nearest brewery. Now I would like to hand it over to Aditya for the marketing campaign.
Thank you, Advat, for handling the digital part. Now I'll be going through a few of marketing campaigns that Carlsberg can implement. So, good marketing campaign is what's required. So I'll take the example of the Coke Zero drinkable advertisement campaigns. So this was a strategy employed by Coke in around 2015. So this was around the time when they launched the product and they were facing stiff competitions from their own brands like Diet Coke and from other competitors as well. So what they did was their goal was to get Coke Zero in the hands of as many people as possible, giving them free samples, getting the consumers on board so that they know what the product is. Now, this was done through drinkable billboards where people could just come up to billboards and get a sample. There was a Shazam to Drink campaign where whenever a Coke Zero ad played on the television or a radio, a person could use Shazam on their phone and they would get a free Coke Zero coupon. Now, what this strategy resulted in was a very high spike in the interest for Coke, as well as a very high increase in the brand awareness. Now, such a campaign can be implemented by Carlsberg to increase the brand awareness, and an increased brand awareness will lead to definitely more sales. Next, bars in Europe are actually a very important social gathering. All right, many people don't just come here to drink, they also look at it as an important place where they get to socialize with their friends. So, what Carlsberg can do is get their branding on a few bar games, for example, beer pong, darts, pool, etc. And this will lead to people associating, enjoying their time at the bar with Carlsberg and having a good experience. Uh, Next, one thing what Carlsberg can do is they can create a media house similar to the Red Bull and the Toro Rosso media houses. So Carlsberg already invests in sponsorships in sports like football through Liverpool. What they can also do is start their own teams in extreme sports like F1 racing, music events, air shows, etc. Now, what this did for Red Bull was that it created a value of the brand that went beyond the drink that was sold by Red Bull. Now, what this would mean for Carlsberg is that if they are able to build a value of the brand that goes beyond them just selling the product, it will be very beneficial so that people will be associating them. The younger generations will be associating Carlsberg with high energy events. Now, moving on to a few of the product diversifications that Carlsberg can undertake. So, given the fact that beer has been stagnating both in growth, revenue, interest in all space, in the past few years, a few product diversifications are suggested. The
I'm
first,
sorry. I'm sorry to interrupt. Your 10 minutes are up. If you could, summarize in last 30 minutes, 30 seconds or so, it would be good.
yeah, sure. So the diversifications suggested by Carlsberg are first cannabis infused beer. Now, given the fact that cannabis is being legalized in many countries across Europe, a very good idea would be to invest in these drinks, CBD based drinks and THC based drinks for Carlsberg. Alternate beverages similar to Bacardi's Breezer or Carlsberg investing in cocktail mixers would also be a good strategy because the younger generations prefer these beverages compared to beer. Next, Advat, would you like to cover the decentralized breweries part?
Yes. So the decentralized breweries focus on the local brand power that has been shown to be more popular. The more the decentralized the brewery is, higher the sales are, reducing the logistic costs as well as carbon footprints. So this is a very beneficial strategy that can help Carlsberg. Another area of product diversification is consumer brewing kits. Many hobbyist enthusiasts are increasing in Europe. This is an emerging trend. This is a new market which can again help Carlsberg enter as a player in an early stage in the market. So these are some of the risks that we analyze for each of our approaches. And this is the conclusion or the summary, the quantitative summary, the way we can the way the revenue of Carlsberg can go up. So all of these assumptions have been made from proxy data as well as other companies that implemented these initiatives. So we estimate that the net revenue can increase by around 6% on an average from 2019 to 2023. So thank you. That would be all.
Yeah, thanks, Aditya and Advait. Super clear. No specific questions as such, guys. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Team Delta. The last team that we have for today is Team Consultant. Please come up with your presentation. Thank you.
Is it visible?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey everyone, I'm Chinmay from Team Consultant, and we are presenting our consulting solutions for the Carlsberg Group. The on-trade situation in Europe currently is plagued with stagnation in growth rates, and the customer focus is shifting from wet-led places to dry-led places like restaurants and eateries, while the off-trade channels continue to consolidate themselves. So the whole challenge that we have is to create such a digital innovation, a social experience, and a local representation so as to boost the on-trade scene in Europe. And the question is that such a multifaceted approach in line with the SAIL 22 pledge and the 3-year target is something that we plan to achieve. Here's a high-level overview of what we plan to present. The first, customer loyalty and experience. The second, craft and specialty beer. And the third is digital innovation. These three focus on the core business of Carlsberg, that is beers, core beers and craft beers. The fourth one capitalizes on a new growing market that has seen a huge trend in the last few years, that is alcohol-free brew and non-alcoholic drinks. And the last is consumer trend analysis, wherein we try to tap in markets which are not directly related to Carlsberg but have huge potential. And hence, we begin with our first part. The core of any business lies in customer comfort and experience. It's a multifaceted outlook that can be categorized according to us in three main parts. First is the functional, second the social, and the developmental approach. So having categorized in these three and pinpointed approaches through which these three can be strengthened, we come to our first idea, that is the Carlsberg experience. Every customer needs to have these four characteristics to feel attached to a particular firm. That is attachment as basic, culture, involvement, and product. So housing stuff like Carlsberg legacy sections in some outlets, having a special deals or special happy hours on days of national or local significance, and having Carlsberg loyalty cards so as to promote the fact that drinking outside in the Carlsberg outlets than an off-trade is something that it's socially applicable as well as useful for the people, since it helps them grow the whole beer culture, which by the way in Europe is a very big thing. And the product is something that Carlsberg has already had since a long time. Next, the craft and specialty beer. Now, after our approach, the data suggests that even though this is a field that has been growing huge since the last few years, the Carlsberg revenue share in some countries in craft and specialty beer hasn't been quite constant, which may lead to some particular issues. And hence, to counter those issues, we have to have a heavy data-led campaign to show people how Carlsberg expertise is in craft and specialty beer. And hence, to tap into the 10-year year-on-year revenue growth model, we have the following ideas like setting up R&D centers to make sure that the local contributors, the beer enthusiasts, come up and help us grow our beer culture. And the fact that even though on a relative scale the market has grown, on an absolute scale it's still very low, which means it has huge untapped potential. And through implementing better supply chains for procuring barley and malt, we can really make sure that a craft beer is something that appeals to the local taste. Next, digital innovation. Now, having social media pages is something that every company, every firm does, and that is not going to make it. So Carlsberg needs to have something that is very, very innovative and specific to them. Now, owing to the fact that people in Europe love to hang out and have beer, and it's a very big thing to organize a beer party, we plan something of our own. That's a Carlsberg beer party. What they can do is they can book particular slots at some select outlets across Europe, wherein they can have beer and connect with the friends who are away from each other. Since globalization has made us apart from each other, but we want to still unite on beer, and we plan to mix these two. Also, celebrities can have these kind of beer parties with their fans so as to increase their reach, and we can use our brand value to further emphasize on it. Now, leaving the regime of beers, non-alcoholic drinks are something that has shown a huge promise in Europe. And also the fact that Europe is one of the largest fitness markets in the world, as the data shows. Now, tapping on this, we plan to primarily target the 68% adolescents who consume consume energy drinks in Europe, combined with the fact that 53% are having a membership in a gym or a fitness center. We plan to set up micropubs across gyms, select gyms in the beginning, and serve Carlsberg Sport and other energy drinks by Carlsberg at a subsidized rate over a 70-30 revenue share. And through a 3-year plan, wherein we start targeting a small number of clubs and then increase it so far with a 1% conversion rate, as in 1% of every customer opt for these drinks. We plan to project a revenue increase of 90.738 billion euros in 3 years. The next and the concluding one is the consumer market analysis. Now, every company has in some time benefited from acquiring new markets and expanding their reach. Now, even this may seem as something which is not traditionally a Carlsberg thing, but then living up with the markets is something that has to be done in order to survive and do best. Hence, we have researched that in Eastern Europe, where the beer consumption is not that good, vodka markets are something that have been on the rise and, as we know, very well consumed in Ukraine and Russia. And this is where Carlsberg can really capitalize. Now, having done a SWOT analysis, what we realize is if we can make sure that the business processes and the ethics that Carlsberg was built on is mixed with the local taste that some companies have and the expertise, we really can make sure that the pros outweigh the cons. And this is a very good proposition. So these are the two firms that we saw as very good propositions for Carlsberg to invest in and have a 4% year-on-year growth projection for the next few years. And they are really looking for something that can make their whole processes uniform, which is where Carlsberg comes in. And Carlsberg is looking for someone who has a local taste and where these companies come in. And the whole synergy is very good for the company. And finally, after having implemented these all business and ideas and having contingency plans for each of them, we project a revenue increase of 5.107% through the 3 years with the following breakup, as you can see. Now, the most important part is this has to be in line with the SAIL 22 plan that Carlsberg has. And here is how. The first part, strengthening the core, our beer business. So the way we introduce digital innovation and the way we introduce Carlsberg loyalty cards, this makes sure that the people are still connected to beer and are more and more engrossed due to the current changes in the way beer is presented. Next, positioning the growth through the vodka markets, as we said, and also through the non-alcoholic and alcoholic-free brew. We make sure that we just don't have a beer front, but also many other fronts through which Carlsberg is a multifaceted outlook. The next is excelling execution through the Carlsberg Experience Program, wherein we make sure that it's not the beer, but the experience of the beer drinking is something that appeals. And this Carlsberg Beer Program, the Experience Program, stretches into a winning culture, wherein promoting a safe habit of drinking beer and at the same time making sure that it stays as the important part it has occupied in Europe so far is something that is achieved through those ideas. So concluding, through these factors, we explored how we can get a revenue boost of 5.107% through the 3 years, and through the Carlsberg appeal and expertise, along with local representation and the use of technology as it has come up, we plan to make sure that this is probably the best 3-year plan ever. Thank you.
Thank you, Chinmay, for that. So again, a couple of things. So you had 5 ideas, 2 of which were going big on non-alcoholic beverages and selling vodka in Russia. And like, I didn't see you move to the number page really quickly, but I don't know how big they are. So do you think these are, in terms of risks, I would say both of these are very high risk businesses. The competition in non-alcoholic beverages would directly be with likes of, say, Red Bull and Coke. And selling vodka in Russia is a task in itself. So how do you think they will mitigate these risks?
So now the fact that the vodka part is something wherein we don't actually begin a product on our own. We basically invest in these firms which are distressed in the terms of their processes. Like we research through these 2 firms, like the Russian Vodka Corporation and the Eastern Beverage Company in Ukraine. And they really have a good share in their country, but the absolute penetration is still low. And they need someone to set their business processes right. So this is where Carlsberg comes in. We acquire those firms, we set their processes right, and let them take control of vodka, which is a very specific thing rather than beer. So I'm coming to the non-alcoholic part, wherein we tie up with the gyms and the fitness centers. So obviously, we do have a lot of competition, but at the same time, seeing the rise in the participation of Europe in gyms and in fitness culture as such, gyms and all haven't been really leveraged, as we saw through sub-internet data, into a very good a revenue source. So this is where if we are somehow the first to do this, then probably we can leverage that fact, and if not on a huge scale dominate with this company, but at least in the smaller scale earn revenue.
Okay, got it. Thanks, Chinmay.
Thank you.
So that's all with the presentation. I hope you all enjoyed the teams presenting, and I hope every one of you got really interesting and good insights from Avidipto sir as well. So I'd personally like to thank you, Avidipto sir, for taking your time out from the busy schedule and coming and judging this event. I'll also like to thank my team, my whole COCO member, as well as Yash Agrawal, Kushal Rathi, and Utkarsh Prasad for making this possible. This was a month-long consultathon. We had a lot of case solving. We'll release the leaderboard certificate, everything in a short notice shortly after this. Yeah. So until then, stay safe. Yeah, Avidipto, you have some closing words or remarks you want to say?
No, thank you guys for having me. It was really good seeing undergrad folks like doing cases and coming up with tangible recommendations. And yeah, thank you for having me. It was a great experience.